Take out your headphones. Take out your headphones. Don't hide them behind your hair. That's ignorant. Jackson, thanks for dropping by.
Good morning.
No headphones? No phone? You ready to go? Have a seat. Oh, sneaky. Okay, friends, more trig today. Finding angles. This really seems impossible, that I'll be able to find the angles in a triangle just given the sides. Well, let's review what we've seen so far. Let's review what we've seen so far. Given the sides, how would you find the measure of the missing angles? It seems impossible, by the way. There's nothing we've taught you in any math class that seems like it can help here. But what I've showed you can help, actually. Put this little friend up here. Do you remember this? Oops. How do we remember all this? Look at this mess. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over the hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. How are we supposed to remember all that? So, ka. Let me write this down. So, kato. You show up to Thursday's quiz and you don't know that sequence of letters. Woo! It's going to be a rough day. It's going to be a rough day. We need to know so katoa. Adam.
Did you find my quiz?
I did find your quiz.
Did you?
It was the staple on something else that caught on it, and that was all caught together. So when I was doing other stuff, boom, it just fell on the floor. I got you. So, he says, apparently we can find angles. Here we go, specifically with the above triangle. Sine A equals. How do we do this? What do we do once we know what angle we're using? Jackson? Circle the angle, friends. Even my grade 11 and grade 12 friends still circle the angle. I checked with them. I asked the grade 12s, said, do you guys still circle the angle? Some of them said, no, I put a dot under it or I underline it, but they do it. They reference the angle very carefully. What does that allow you to do that's going to help keep track of everything that's going on here? Once you know which angle you're using. Which numbers? What do you mean which numbers? Yeah, we're on our way to the angles, but once you know what side you're using or what angle you're using, what does that enable you to do with the sides? Label them. Important step number 2, label the sides. And I say start with hypotenuse, because most people can look and know which one's the hypotenuse just by looking at the question. Once you know that's hypotenuse, then adjacent. Adjacent means beside. So whoever's sitting beside you, you can turn and look at them right now. Say, hey, adjacent, because they're right beside you. Right beside is adjacent. And you don't have to spell the whole word, A-D-J will do. And then the one across all the way is called opposite. Now, friends, check this out. Sine of A equals, and this is the problem some people had on Friday. Sine of A equals what? What two sides do we use for sine? I'll just write this up here, because you might have been underestimating what this means. You're like, yeah, Sakato, whatever. No. It tells you which one to use. It also tells you which way to divide. Opposite over hypotenuse. He almost said hypothesis. I know your science teachers have been using the word hypothesis a lot, and it's awfully tempting to use that. So in my triangle, what are those two numbers? 5 is the opposite. Hypotenuse is 13. Good. You should be unimpressed. You should be completely like, yeah, this is all very interesting, but I still don't know what that angle is. Well, just for fun, let's get it as a decimal. 5 divided by 13. I got to find my calculator. It's in here somewhere. By the way, if you're wondering who the new student is here, that's my daughter, Bella. She's, how old are you? You're 22. She's back. She got one more university exam, so she came to hang out with me while she was studying today. She is 22. I have to add to figure that one out. 5 divided by 13. 0.3846. $15384. Mr. Todd, do I have to write down all the decimal places? Well, maybe not. Let's just get some experience first before we figure out whether we're going to do that or not. Oh, tough next step. You're like, well, that's great, but that doesn't tell me what the angle is. You still haven't figured out what the angle is. Just take a look at your calculator for a second. Right above sine, can you see it on your calculator? I can barely read it on mine. What does it say right above sine on your calculator? It says sine with a little -1. That -1 means undo, do the opposite, inverse. Yeah? The opposite of sine. What? That button is specifically designed to take this number, 384615384, and get the angle. It's built right into the triangle. How did they do it? Oh, you wouldn't even believe if I told you the amount of mathematics that goes in to make a calculator figure this out. But they got it programmed in there, folks. So I'm going to hit sine inverse. How do I get to sine inverse? Shift. On your calculator, it's the shift button. On mine, it's second function. And when I hit that, I get sine -1. And -1 means opposite. Undo sine. Don't do sine. Undo sine. Find out what someone signed to get this. And I'm going to type it all in, 0.384. And if you're here Friday, you know I'm wasting my time. That I could do a better way here than typing this all back in. I'll ask someone on the next one, how could I avoid having to retype all that crazy stuff in there? And when I sine inverse that baby, what do I get? Equals? 23. Yeah, 23. I'll put down the decimal place, not because I think you should put down the decimal place, just so we can agree we're getting the same answer. 22.6 degrees. Shocking result here, that from the size you can get the angle. After grade 9, you would have said that's impossible. That can't be done. But it's one button in your calculator. The button just says, find out what was signed to get 5/13. We're going to do that 3 times in a row, just to make sure there's no trickery going on here. Cosine of A. What's cosine? Which two sides is cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. How is he getting that? SOHCAHTOA tells you. It's not just telling you what cosine is, it's telling you which way to divide it. It's saying go adjacent and then hypotenuse. Okay? So in this case, what's the adjacent and what's the hypotenuse? 12/13, which I'm going to get as a decimal. If you're right with me, you're like, do you really have to get it as a decimal? Couldn't I just do 12/13? Can I? You can. But to just show what's going on, I'm going to type in 12 divided by 13, and then somebody get ready to act like I don't know what I'm doing and tell me why I don't have to write this all down. I'm going to write it all down. 0.930. I said it and already forgot it. 9230. 76923. Now we'll see if anyone's really listening. Just do the -1 thing. Yeah. See? Each individual step of trig is not all that bad. But there gets to be a lot of steps, a lot of things you got to know. You got to know if I want the angle, I got to do the cos -1 thing. It's actually called cos inverse. Actually, it's called arc cos. It goes by all sorts of names, but we don't care about any of that. All we care about is we need the thing that undoes cos, that gets me the angle. And so I got to do cos inverse of 0.923076923. I need a clever calculator person to explain to us all why I don't have to type all that in again. Cos inverse. What button can I press to just say, just use the last thing? I don't want to have to type it all back. Hi, Scout. I don't want to have to type it all back in. How do I just use that last answer without typing it all back in? A and S, the A and S button. Somebody clever. That's the best button that's ever been put on a calculator by far. Shh. On mine, I got to hit alpha to get ants. I think yours just has an ants button. Ants for answer, not ants in my pants. Yeah? Answer. Alpha, answer. That just says cos inverse of whatever you just had on the screen. I don't want to have to type it all back in again. And what do I get? Well, it better be 22.6. It better not matter. And that's one of the points of this lesson is like it doesn't matter which two sides you use. You can use any two sides you want, and you'll get the same angle either way, or else math is broken. If math works, you can use any two sides you want. You might be forced to use one if you only have two of the sides, but someone might say, well, if you got two sides, I can use the Pythagorean theorem and get the third side. Then which of these do I use? I go, well, you can use any one you want. It doesn't matter. As long as you use the right sides. You can't use tan and then use a different pair. You can't use tan and use hypotenuse or something. You got to use tan. Well, which one's tan? What's tan? TOA. Which two sides? Opposite or adjacent. Okay, so maybe that wasn't clear the first time through all this, is that, oh, TOA. It tells me more. Tan A is opposite over adjacent. TOA isn't just a fun little saying. It's telling you, here's what's involved, and here's how you divide them. So what's opposite in the picture? 5 over 12. Okay, let's stop for a second. What would you say the most important step of trig is that we've seen so far? What part do you just have to get right? Labeling those sides. If we don't get that right, the rest of this falls apart. And I think it's the hardest part. Everything else, not bad. You just put fractions, press the right button. But if you don't label those sides correct at the start, it all falls apart. That's why we circle that angle. So 512, hey, okay, here we go. Somebody's like, I don't have to write all that down. Watch this. I can just use the fraction if I want. You got a fraction button in there. Tan inverse of 5/12. Anybody I know, grade 11 or 12, is sick and tired. Bye, Bella.
Bye, Dad.
Have a great day.
Bye, class.
Watch, you're going to like this. Tan inverse, open the bracket, and put in 5 over 12. Isn't that nice? Just stare at that and savor that for a second. No decimals. No writing down a bunch of stuff. Let the calculator take care of it. Tan inverse of 5/12. I could get 5/12 as a decimal. That's totally fine. I could write all the decimals out. Then I could hit tan inverse. That's what it's called, tan inverse. Or I could just put 5/12 in there, and I get answer. It better be 22.6, folks, or something's wrong with mathematics if we get a different answer. Question?
Why did you put the negative sign at the end of it?
The negative sign here?
Yeah.
Okay, so that negative sign,
No, at the end of the fraction, there's a little negative sign.
it may look like that, but there's not. That's an equal sign.
No, but like before the equal sign, there's like a little negative sign.
Oh no, that's -1. There's a
Well, this tan negative 1,
No.
right there?
Like where the equal sign is, there is a minus sign.
Oh, that I don't know what happened there. That was a mistake. No, there shouldn't be another negative sign. I don't know what happened there or what you saw. I didn't put another negative. I just hit equals. Yeah.
Are you talking about?
Yeah.
How can you do the fraction? On our calculator, you said? Has it? You don't know.
You could also just, okay, hang on.
No, I know the decimal.
If you don't have the fraction button, you could do this too. If you don't have a fraction button, watch. I could do tan inverse, open a bracket, and go 5 divided by 12. You don't have to make it into a fraction. You could just type 5 divided by 12 if you don't have that fraction button. That's okay too.
I want to know if I have the fraction. You have it? What is it?
Let me see.
No, wait, actually, I don't think she does have it. That was what?
It's right here. 5 over 12. Yours doesn't display it as a fraction.
Oh.
Okay? But you could use that. You could just go 5 over 12 like that. Any of those 5 over 12s look.
I think I'll stick with my decimal.
Yeah, that's fine. I really wasn't trying to convince anyone to do it differently. I was just saying these are choices you have.
Are you sure?
Positive. Are you sure you're a proton? I'm positive.
You're so funny.
It's not bad, eh?
They only laugh at your jokes, so you know. What?
Do you have any questions there? All right, on we go. On we go. No, it didn't really matter. Shh. which trig ratio I used. I could use sine, I could use cos, I could use tan. I get the same answers no matter which way I do it. So we can choose. From now on, we'll do degrees to the nearest degree. We won't use decimal degrees. Degrees are really small anyways. We don't need decimal degrees, so we'll just go nearest degree from now on. Okay? Find the measure of angle A. Okay, listen, if you drifted off to sleep, or you didn't do any of Friday's homework, or you're really lost in what's happening, get ready for the steps here. Okay? I'm going to label them as I go. I think you should label them too on this diagram. This is the one you look back at. Step 1. Circle the angle you're going to use, and I've only put a 1 there. Don't let the 1 confuse you. That's 1's just there to go, do that first. Label the angle first. Or sorry, circle the angle first. Once I've circled the angle, what can I do? Label the sides. I say label hypotenuse first. Then the adjacent, because it's the one beside the angle. Say hi to your adjacent person. Someone beside you, say hi adjacent. The rest of the chapter, call them adjacent. The person beside you. That's the adjacent side. And I'm labeling that too, by the way. Look at that little number. When you're doing these, you can look back at my little number system here and go, what order do I do these? And then label the opposite side. It's the only one that's left. Next, your guide, your acronym, your helpful word. Yeah, write that down here. So, ka, to, a. So, ka, to, a. And then you look at the picture. That's the only thinking you got to do. It's go, listen, which two sides do I have here? I have opposite and hypotenuse. Now, don't yell it out, Joseph. Which of these three has both opposite and hypotenuse so that I can use it? I got to have both. Sine. So you take a moment and maybe, oh, I didn't label that, did I? Number 5, use this thing and go, oh, that one I have both opposite and hypotenuse. Sine I'm using. You get to take a deep breath. You call New Orleans Pizza, send me a pizza. I'm almost done this question. Hang up. Once you got there, once you've decided which one to do, because it's sine of A equals opposite is 5, hypotenuse is 12. Jackson?
Obviously, you would use SOHCAHTOA to find that angle, but to find the adjacent side, can't be used.
Great stuff. Great stuff. If it had asked, this one asked for measure the angle A. If it had asked for this other side, you would have used Pythagorean theorem to get it. Absolutely. You see how we're giving you a whole set of weapons that by tomorrow, any right angle triangle, we should be able to, whatever they give us, we should be able to figure out all the other sides and angles. Okay, that's what tomorrow's lesson is let's put it all together. Any combination of stuff they give us, I'll be able to finish it off. Okay, good. Okay, now who's been paying attention here? Sine of A is 5/12. I want the angle. What button am I going to have to use to get the angles? Sin -1. It's called sine inverse. The -1, if that -1 confuses you, yeah, I'm not sure that that makes a whole lot of sense why they chose -1. If you want, think of it as opposite. Oh, negative's opposite, so it's opposite sign. It undoes sine. And you can do the decimal thing. So I'll put that line in there. I'll find out what 5 divided by 12 is in a decimal, if you like. 0.41, and then a lot of 6s. Or you don't have to do that. Your calculator can totally handle going sine inverse of 5 divided by 12. And what's the sine inverse of that answer? Do you get 24.6? We're going to go 25 degrees. Nearest degree is lots. Like, decimal degrees. is unnecessary in these questions. How are we doing? The only thing different in the side version of this is instead of using the sine inverse, we had to cross multiply. That's how we got the answer on Friday. Any questions there? Yeah. Gladly.
All the angles added together in a triangle equals 180.
Oh, you're a step ahead of me. Look at him jump ahead on me. Hold on. Give that exact answer in just a minute, okay? I'm almost ready for your exact answer. He's a step ahead. Adam, did I give you enough time?
Yeah.
Ready? Ready for my dramatic moment? Alex is ready. We got a whole routine about to go here. You ready? He doesn't know exactly what's going to happen, but you'll know when it happens, okay? Yeah. It says find the other unknown angle. You're like, oh, I got to go through that whole thing again? This is 25. That's 90. Now I got to circle that, relabel the sides, do the whole thing again. Alex says,
They all add up to 180.
oh, he says, I can do better. I can just, to get B, I can just go B equals take 180, subtract the 25, and subtract the 90. The angles in a triangle add up to 180. Do you remember that little detail? I better put that in the thought bubble. And Alex can decide whether he's going to come up and sign the thought bubble or not. Angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. Always. Always. Every single triangle, they add up to 180. I'm going to sign it for Alex here. Little Alex Zudi there at the bottom there. AS. Handy. Handy little piece of info. Do you remember it from previous grades? Doesn't matter. There, I'm telling you. The angles always add up to 180. So, oh, I didn't type it in. 180 minus 25 minus 95. I believe I get 65 degrees. Do you have any questions, my friends? I have nothing else to teach you today. I'm going to do that all again to try to get it down pat. And maybe we'll try and get some people to yell out answers here of what I have to do. That was the 512 triangle, right? How many more do I got to do? 2 more times. Yeah, okay. We're going to do it again very slowly. And then the last one we'll get you to try, because Katie likes when we do that. You get to try the last one on your own. Yeah. So number 2 we do together, but a little more slowly, just in case anyone's lost. Example 2, find the measure of angle B. I'm not going to label the steps this time. Who can remember? What's the first step? Circle the angle. Then once I have that, label the sides. Yeah? Most important steps, by the way. Most important. Everything else comes from this. This is hypotenuse. What's the one beside the angle called? Adjacent. And then the one that's remaining? Opposite. Then I write down my fancy word. SOHCAHTOA. And then I look at the situation and go, what 2 sides are involved in this question? I've got hypotenuse and I've got adjacent. Those are the 2 I have. So I got A and H. Ka. There's the one that has both. So I'm doing cosine. Cosine of B equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. But this is finding an angle. So what button am I using to find angles? Yeah, the cos inverse button. It's got a -1 for some strange reason. It's got a little -1 on it. It would be nice if it just said cos with a little I on top for cos inverse or something like that. But it uses -1, opposite. I won't do the decimals this time. I'm trying to convince you. You can use the decimals if you want. But some people find it way easier and faster just to go cos inverse. And then in brackets, just type in 12 divided by 15 or make a fraction 12 or 15. So if you're having trouble typing that in, here we go. You hit shift or second function and you hit cos and it comes up with a little cos and a -1. Then you open a bracket and you type in 12 over 15 or 12 divided by 15. It doesn't matter whether you do a divide or do a fraction. What do you get when you type that in? Try it right now, see if you type it in. 36.86, we'll call that 37 degrees. You got questions? Yeah, I love it. We're just going to find the last angle, though. So let me say something that's incorrect, and then somebody help me, okay? You ready? Here it comes. Find the other unknown angle. Now I got to circle this one, and then change all the labels, and go through all of that. You could. What's the fact you need to know here? I'll draw a visual one instead of my thought bubbles. Just a triangle with a 180 in the middle of it. Nice visual for you. There's visual learners out there who are like, once I see it, then I'm good. Yeah? There.
A squared equals 180 minus 9 minus 37.
180 minus 90 minus 37. If you type in your calculator, you'll get 53 degrees. Yeah? Is okay? So just like when it was sides, we had Pythagorean theorem to get the third side. When it's angles, we got this, 180 minus those. So that's what they were building in grade 8 and grade 9 for you for this moment. You got questions? All right, here's the moment where I want you to try example 4. See how far you can get in example 4. Not the homework yet. We're going to take it up. Let's not wait around till homework time so you go, I don't get it. No. Right now. You see how far you can get on example, mine says 3. Is it 3 or 4? Oh yeah, no, 3. You try example 3. And if you don't get all the way through it, that's fine. Let's see how far you can get on those steps. Look back to my numbering system from example 1 and see how many steps you can do in example 3. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing it very slowly. So if you really don't know what you're doing, you can look up at mine. If you do know what you're doing, or you think you do, you can look up and see if you're doing the same things as me. So just look at your page, look up at mine, and see if you're doing the same things as me. There, I did step 1. Check if your step 1 was the same as mine. No.
How do I do it?
Hit the shift button and then hit tan. There you go. Some calculators it's called second function, but the ones we use it's called shift. I'm going very slowly so you can check, and then maybe you're going to watch my steps and then go, no, oh, okay, now I can do the rest now.
Can you check it over?
We're going to. I'm doing it right here. As you're doing it, you can check it. Oh, just be patient. Watch mine. Or start, if you're like, I think I got it. Look at what he's doing. He's like, I don't need you anymore, Mr. Todd. I'm rocking and rolling. Yeah? Actually, let me get a little help here, because this is the part that messes people up sometimes. Which one? TOA. It's two things at once, though. It's which one do I use, opposite, adjacent, but it's also which way do I divide, opposite, then adjacent. So it's tan of B equals opposite over adjacent. So don't underestimate what SOHCAHTOA does. It does two things. Which one do I use, and which way do I divide? It does both of those at once. And I'll type it in and see if you get the same as me. And if you did, you can claim that a victory. That is some great trig you're doing if you can just get an angle like that. Let's see what it is. I got 39.8, which we'll call 40. If you write 39.8, I'm not going to mark it wrong. I'm just saying that's more accurate than we need to be. A decimal degree is really small. Even a degree is really small. We're already very accurate. Then what? Do it all again? Oh, thank you. I dig trig. Are you saying squared in there? Are you saying the word squared in there? Oh, I thought you said squared. Sorry, I was wrong about that. A is take the 180, subtract the 90, and subtract the, what was B again? I forget now. 40. Anyone type this in? What'd you get? Katie, did you type it in your phone there?
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 50.
It's 50. Please put a degree symbol there. Just like when we write, please write the centimeters, write the meters. You know, always want to write the unit after it. It's degrees. Friends, we have a quiz on Thursday. Quiz. Doing what you did on Friday and what you did today. I went on the website and shared all the answers for Friday's homework. It's all there on the website for those of you who did your homework on the weekend. And I'll do the same today. Some of you are bad for just copying when I do the answers. You know what I'm talking about. I put the answers up, so you just start copying them. Look, I did my homework. No, you just did what the photocopy machine does. So those answers I'll share in the later afternoon or evening sometime, so you can look them up, okay? Now, if you're doing answers right now, you can bring them over and check with me. Glad to check them. Just saying, some of you, and you know who you are, it's just too tempting once the answers are up there just to start copying. Yeah? So I'll have them available. You do a couple questions and try them out. Come and see me.